And speaking of his client being in trouble, Donald Trump, I don't know if you know this, he's facing some problems here. Trump's lawyers this week went to the Supreme Court. They filed their response to Jack Smith's motion last week, asking the Supreme Court to not only hear whether or not Donald Trump has immunity, but to give him an expedited hearing on it. The Supreme Court last week said, oh, heck yeah, we'll do that. Now, Donald Trump's team was allowed time to respond, which they did this week, and they told the court that, hey, why don't you cool your jets a little bit? There's no need to rush any of this, Donald Trump's lawyers told the justices on the Supreme Court. Like, we need to, make sure everybody takes their time and goes through this properly. We don't want to rush anything. Let me read you. This is from their filing. This is what they said. The court should be resolved in a cautious, deliberative manner, not at breakneck speed. We don't need to rush to decide the issues with reckless abandon, they said. They then finally addressed Jack Smith's issue, which of course is the fact this is of public interest, right? This whole trial, everything that's going on, kind of something the public needs resolution to as quickly as possible. And he's right. So Trump's lawyers addressed that. They said, he confuses the public interest with the manifest partisan interest in ensuring that President Trump will be subjected to a months-long criminal trial at the height of a presidential campaign where he is the leading candidate and the only serious opponent of the current administration. The combination of an almost 3-year wait to bring this case and the special counsel's current demand for extraordinary expedition, supported by the vaguest of justifications, creates a compelling inference of partisan motivation. Pretty argument. None of it's a legal argument, though. Like, you filed a motion with the United States Supreme Court that actually does not contain a legal argument. In fact, that argument is so bad, it actually seems like it was dictated by Donald Trump and then lawyered up by his counsel. Like, it's just like, he's a partisan hack and he's trying to rig the election. Okay, that's not a legal argument, though. Like, Jack Smith presented legal arguments and legal reasoning. You were given the opportunity to do the same thing, and you actually decided to bring politics into this. So on Thursday, Jack Smith already submitted a rebuttal to Trump's filing, and here's what Jack Smith had to say in his latest filing. The public interest in a prompt resolution of this case favors an immediate definitive decision by this court. The charges here are of the utmost gravity. This case involves, for the first time in our nation's history, criminal charges against a former president based on his actions while in office. And not just any actions, alleged acts to perpetuate himself in power by frustrating the constitutionally prescribed process for certifying the lawful winner of an election. The nation has a compelling interest in a decision on respondents' claim of immunity from these charges, and if they are to be tried, a resolution by conviction or acquittal without undue delay. Now that's a legal argument, pointing out the fact that, listen, this man has been charged with delaying an act of Congress that perpetuates the peaceful transfer of power. He has been accused of violating that, and that is of utmost importance for everyone in this country to know whether or not a jury is going to say you're free to go or you're free to go to prison. Jack Smith's got a good solid argument. Donald Trump and his lawyers, as per usual, do not. But ultimately, the Supreme Court's going to have the final say in this. As I mentioned last week, the Supreme Court did tell Jack Smith, yes, we'll take your case, and we will also expedite it, unless Trump gives us good reason not to. Personally, I don't think Trump gave them good reason not to. But we're dealing with what is definitely the most corrupt Supreme Court of my lifetime, possibly the most corrupt Supreme Court ever, so logic and reasoning and rationale and past precedent means nothing to this court. So we have no idea. Like, we can't even attempt to predict what they will or will not do. I think that's a waste of time. But whether or not they grant the expedited appeal hearing kind of doesn't matter. Because Jack Smith already has an ace up his sleeve, because at the same time that he asked the Supreme Court to go ahead and bypass the appellate court, which is what made Donald Trump mad because he wants it all delayed to delay the trial, Jack Smith also filed with the appellate court and asked them, hey, I know I'm skipping you guys, but do me a favor. I want y'all to go ahead and also hear the case. So the appellate court is also going to hear the case within the first week and a half of January. So even if the Supreme Court agrees with Trump, like, oh, okay, well, the lower court needs to decide. Well, great. That starts today. Here we go. So Jack Smith covered all his bases because he's smart and he knows what he's doing. Trump's lawyers are arguing politics. Jack Smith is over here like bing, bang, boom. I got you no matter which way you go. I'm playing chess. Y'all are playing Connect 4. Like, we're not even in the same game anymore. That's how great Jack Smith has been at all this, and that's why I do have a lot of faith in him. It's the court system that I have no faith in. Like, if this were a normal country with normal courts and not, just this partisan hackery that we have, I would think 100% Jack Smith's going to get him convicted on every count, on every case, including down in South Florida. But down in South Florida, Trump's got Judge Eileen Cannon. Even with the overwhelming amount of evidence, and, I think Cannon's still going to try to get him off. With the Supreme Court, a normal court would look at these things and be like, oh, yeah, he's making legal arguments. They're over here arguing politics. We got to go with the legal arguments in this case. But it's not a normal country. It sure as heck isn't a normal court system. So we're stuck with what we've got, and we're going to have to wait and see how things roll out. Listen, I am Farron Cousins. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/TheRingOfFire, youtube.com/FarronBalanced, and I'm at Farron Balanced on Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm sitting in for David Pakman today, and we'll be right back with more on The David Pakman Show.
Our sponsor, Oxygen, is really the online banking app that you didn't know you needed. Oxygen has both personal and small business accounts, and what I find super compelling is they're geared towards entrepreneurs who want to turn some kind of side business into a full-time business, because Oxygen will incorporate your small business for you while separating your personal and business banking to make things like invoicing, payroll, and taxes easier. You can get up to 5% cash back on business expenses, up to an impressive 6% on personal spending with their debit cards, which is amazing. And then on the personal banking side, Oxygen lets you send and receive money with your friends and family using peer-to-peer payments, easy to split a bill, share expenses, send holiday gifts to your loved ones. And having won several awards for their industry-leading benefits, features, and cash back, Oxygen is really the place to start and grow your business. And it's great for personal banking as well. With over 750,000 accounts opened, Oxygen is a trusted resource with some of the best rewards in the industry. Go to davidpakman.com/oxygen to sign up for the account that works best for you or your business. The link is down below.